Leader of the third party.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Tsow Tun Le Lum means helping house. Tsow Tun Lelum is an addictions recovery centre for residential school survivors and their families, currently based in Nanoose Bay. They offer a 40-day residential program grounded in culture and tradition for Indigenous participants who are in long-term recovery. Tsow Tun Lelum, I'm excited, is in the process of building their new helping house in the Cowichan Valley. When I met with the Executive Director, Nola Jeffrey, this summer, we were surprised to learn from her that they are having to fundraise for their capital budget. The province was set to give $20 million towards restoring places of healing, with Tsow Tun Lelum earmarked for part of this money, but they haven't seen any yet. And now the Healing House is on the hook for a $5 million funding gap to build their new centre. After a year of promising to expand treatment options and in the midst of this devastating drug toxicity crisis, an Indigenous-run facility near Duncan is forced to find its own funding to offer a place to heal for survivors of residential schools. My question, Honourable Speaker, is to the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions. Why has this government not funded construction for an important place of healing?
Minister of Mental Health and Addictions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are funding the Tsow Tun Lelum rebuild in Duncan. It's one of the many projects that the province of British Columbia is very proud to be a partner with First Nations Health Authority. The disproportionate impact of drug overdose and addiction on First Nations people, on all Indigenous people, is front of mind for our government. To that end, we've committed $20 million to the rebuild of First Nations healing and treatment and recovery centres that were initially built by the federal government, which has neglected them. I have been working along with the Minister of Indigenous Reconciliation here in this chamber to encourage the federal government to also partner along with the province of British Columbia and First Nations Health Authority, so that each of the three of us would all be committing $20 million. Absolutely, money has been committed to the Tsow Tun Lelum rebuild, and I will undertake to let the member know the exact figure, but it's certainly in the several million dollars. It is the First Nations Health Authority, because our government's commitment is to focus on Indigenous-led solutions, that actually administers the funding, but Tsow Tun Lelum has absolutely been assured that the province and FNHA are funding it to the order of many millions of dollars, and we are encouraging our federal partners to do the same.
Leader of the third party, supplemental.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And I'm delighted to hear this, and I'm sure that the Executive Director, Nola Jeffrey, will also be delighted to hear this. I guess my follow-up question will be, can the Minister commit in writing to Ms. Jeffrey what the exact funding from the province will be?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've met several times with Tsow Tun Lelum leads. I don't think there's any question that their funding is assured, and I'll certainly get back to the member with the documentation of that. This is a commitment that was made by my predecessor, Judy Darcy, the first Minister of Mental Health and Addiction. So this is a commitment of some time standing. But while I have the opportunity, I'll indicate also in addition to the $20 million that our budget has committed to the rebuild of First Nations treatment and recovery centres, we've also put $20 million into Indigenous-led addiction recovery services, also $24 million over 3 years to support First Nations Health Authority respond to the overdose crisis, and also $1.13 million to Métis Nation of BC, also for overdose prevention. Thank you.